All right. What's going on, everybody? A little solo cast going here today. It is Thanksgiving in the US of A. So, Maru and the Hitman off spending a little time with the family. I think Amaru is headed down to Tulum right now, heading to the Paradise Pad. We spent a little time down there. As always, if you're new to the channel, you can win free nights at the Paradise Pad. In fact, really, as long as you're an active community member, especially if you are a Surf Down member, hit us up and we can get you some all exclusive, not exactly, we get you some free nights down there at the Paradise Pad. Beautiful little condo in Tulum, right by the beaches, all the restaurants. We were down there not too long ago, maybe a year or so back, and had a blast. It's a beautiful area. So, shout out to everybody in the US of A today. Happy Turkey Day, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're spending some time with the family, some friends, having some good food, watching some football, getting ready for some Black Friday shopping tomorrow. Happy holidays. It's that time of year again. Normally I'm back in the States around now. I'm not going to make it this year. Just got married. We're going to get my wife a visa. Not so easy right now to do it the legal way even in the US. So I'm not going to make it back, unfortunately, for Thanksgiving and Christmas this year, but shout out to everybody that is getting together with family and friends. Great time of year to be in the US of A. And to all of our fans around the world, happy Thursday for most of you. Thursday night, if you're out Asia area, or if you're Aussie, you're probably in bed already. And happy Thursday afternoon and Thursday morning for the rest of you. Market's looking good. Popping back up above 90 today. In fact, let's go ahead here. I'm going to switch screens. Let's take a look at some charts. Here we go. Remember way back when? This would have been after the September rate cuts, I believe. Or it might have been right after this dump we started back in October. We looked forward. We drew this blue line in the sand here. We talked, I can't remember what the statistic was, that often after the September rate cut, in a specific year, one of those kind of statistics that, every post-halving year, when this happens, then there's a drop. But before the next rate cut, we see a pump back up. Well, we've got the drop. Massive drop now. We're looking at, 36%. Not outside of the window of what we can see in what's common to see in a bull market. But nice bounce off 80 there. Nice little V-shaped recovery here. This is the rate cut. This is December 10th. Could continue to see a nice rally up into the rate cut. I personally am kind of expecting somewhere in here, maybe put a little W in, get a higher low, and pop back up. Well, I probably wouldn't wick down all the way back here. Maybe a little higher than that, but high 80s, mid to high 80s, and a pump back up towards the rate cuts there. ETH recovered as well, back up above 3,000, almost 3,100. A little pullback here, just under 3K today. Solana, nice bounce off the bottom as well. Solana with a good rebound down all the way to 120-ish and almost a 20% recovery there. What else? What are some of the other top guys in here? Let's take a look. I think I got Super in here, Surf in here. There we go. I have to zoom in a little bit here. Surf as well, putting in a low here. A nice 24% almost recovery, 23.5. So things starting to balance out a little bit. Now the question is, as always, is this the bottom? Are we recovering here? Or as the 4-year halving cycle folks, the bears would say, this is just a dead cat, a relief rally, very well could be. I think we're going to continue to see, we need some more time. This blue line here, big day, rate cuts coming very quickly. Going to tell a lot about what's going to happen in Q1 and in 2026. Running out of time, though, as we've talked about, the Fed, only so long they can delay this stuff before it's going to be too late to have an impact on the elections next year. So expecting to see some big stuff happening soon. Nonso, how you doing? GM as well. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Had a few pies in celebration today. Got some mini pies delivered to the house. there was an assortment of 9. Me and a couple friends, the wife and my buddy, we had shared some pie. It was some pumpkin pie, had some pecan pie. It was an apple, a blueberry, some little, like this. There's a creme brulee one, but good stuff. Had a little miniature Thanksgiving feast of our own. Give it a. But yeah, thank you for everybody who's tuned in so far. As always, give us a like, a share, drop a comment. YouTube comments that can pop up on the screen here. I will be keeping an eye, though, on the live stream. For whatever reason, the software we're using does not doesn't pull up the comments from Telegram yet. But anyways, I'll keep an eye on the Telegram chat. If you're watching, not Telegram, excuse me, X, Twitter, formerly known as Twitter. So yeah, drop us a comment there as well. But rate cuts continue to flip. 84% here, looking good, looking strong. 25 basis point cut. What's $100 there get you? Oh, we're not on the right one here. 50-point decrease. Wow. $100 bet on the 50 basis point decrease. $9,000. Man, it's almost too good to pass up. Even $20 here. Gonna make it 1,800. I mean, how about if we threw 100 on the 25 basis point? 109. So I mean, this is the bet we looked at. I think I'm gonna have to take this. So I'll bet 100, bet 125 basis point, bet $20 on the 50 base point cut. If the 50 basis point cut comes out of nowhere, I'm laughing. I'm up $1,700. If it doesn't, if we get the 25 basis point decrease, I'm break even. I don't think we're not going to get a rate cut. Obviously, that's the wild card in there. Still 16% of people think there's going to be no change. But I don't know. I think that's a lock, man. I think it's at worst a break even. Or, $1,700 win would be pretty sick. If you're looking for some degen, if you're a memer, and if you're a meme coin trader, the trenches are pretty dry right now. If you need somewhere to scratch that degen speculative gambling risk, this is my call of the week here. Parlay, or I say bet the 50 basis point decrease to 1% long odds, and hedge it with a 25 basis point decrease. A lot of stuff going on today. Top story here: Korean exchange Upbit hacked. For those of you that are not familiar with the Korean market, why is it so important? They have almost the biggest, if not the biggest, retail market in the world. For the size of their population, I think they're second to only the U.S. So massive, massive market for traders. Ton of big companies all want to get in there. They have their own exchanges, Upbit and BitThumb, and maybe one other one, but very limited access to the Korean market. So huge market. You've probably heard of the kimchi surplus that's coming out of Korea. A lot of crypto degens, a lot of crypto traders there. So big market. Upbit is their leading exchange. Hacked for almost 37 million, drained on the Solana network. Now I don't know that a lot of information has come out about this yet. Don't know where, what we're speculating on as far as the vector of the attack, how the attack was carried out, why on Solana versus other networks. The good news, though, Upbit has publicly disclosed this incident and recognized it, and more importantly, they said all user losses will be fully covered by its reserves. So good to hear there. Sad to hear about Upbit. Hopefully they can get everybody made whole here very quickly. People aren't having to wait a year, 5 years. There's Mt. Gox people and FTX people still haven't got their money. Granted, that's a little different story, complete collapse of an ecosystem versus a relatively minor hacking compared to what the company is worth and can handle there. But keep an eye on this. Something probably next week, maybe on Monday, we'll have a little more information on what's going on there. We'll follow up with that. But major news. A lot of people, especially in this part of the world where I'm at, talking about the Korean exchange hack. What else? Yes, Tether in the news as always. Tether, obviously the issuer of USDT, one of the largest companies in the world. Well, not in the world, one of the largest companies in crypto, one of the most profitable companies in the world. The second most profitable company, per employee, I should say, not overall most profitable, but second most profitable company per employee. I did a video on this back in September, October, I believe. Only Hyperliquid ahead of them. Hyperliquid did doing $1.5 billion with just 11 people on their staff. Insane. Over $100 million per employee. Can you imagine? Crypto Paradise not there yet. Missing a few zeros on our paychecks. But Tether came in second, something like 50, 60 million an employee. Pretty crazy stuff. They do over $15 billion a year, and I think they have like 50 full-time staff, something along those lines. But Tether, also now one of the largest independent holders of gold in the world. Now, another article here kind of explained it a little more in depth. Where are the numbers? Yeah, so Tether now holds 116 tons of physical gold worth around 14 to $15 billion, making the largest non-central bank gold holder in the world. So pretty massive. They have more physical gold than South Korea, Hungary, and Greece have in their reserves. So that's pretty crazy. Tether making a ton of money. They make, I think they're bringing in $15 billion or $16 billion in profits, not in revenue. Yeah, here we go. Projected for 2025, $15 billion in profits, not revenue. Massive amount of money. So, there's a lot of speculation. This article is spitting out some more Tether FUD, which we'll kind of cover why in a minute here. But Tether FUD seems to come up around 2-3 times a cycle. Everybody, if Tether were to unwind, if Tether were to collapse, yes, it would be, I don't want to say the end of crypto, but it would be a major setback. Let's put it that way. So much of this industry relies on them. And they've had plenty of reasons to be scrutinized in the past. When they started very early on, there was no real regulations. It was very cowboy shit. There's been lots of accusations of them not having reserves, et cetera, et cetera. At this point, they've made so much money. I don't think the questions of the reserves being solvent or them being able to back the 1-to-1 US dollars that they have out there. I don't think that's an issue anymore. I think more now, for example, this article here, what he's trying to point out is the systemic risk, is that they hold a lot of Bitcoin. It makes up 5.6% of what is backing the USDT, and Tether lands at 3.9% safety buffer, meaning if Bitcoin drops too much, potentially could put them at a liquidity issues or liquidation issues, not be able to back 1-to-1. The USDT out there. So a big part of why they're trying to replace a lot of that Bitcoin on their books with physical gold. Gold also, though, up over 50% this year, has become more volatile, could also cause issues there. But I think overall they're diversifying their portfolio, trying to move some of that highly volatile Bitcoin out to balance out their holdings, make it a little more safe. The other reason that Tether's been buying gold like crazy, they are getting into the RWA game. They're getting into the tokenization game. Tokenization of gold is going to be a massive industry. Tether is currently the leader in that industry. I think they've already tokenized, coming up on $10 billion worth of gold, or maybe it's a little less than that. Maybe it's around 6 or 7. But they are one of the leaders in tokenizing gold. There's a lot of new products out there offering lending for gold. There's a lot of institutions, a lot of nation states, a lot of individuals that look at gold as the ultimate, stable for turbulent markets, the ultimate hedge against fiat and other risk on other risk on assets. The problem with gold, it's heavy. You got to store it somewhere. If you get paper gold, paper gold's as good as the people backing it. So a lot of those issues are alleviated with digital gold. Now, obviously, not your keys, not your crypto. The gold, you're not physically storing the gold yourself. Some might say that's good. Some might say that's bad. There'd have to be some pretty serious calamities for you to need to worry about the vaults that are holding this type of gold. If you're a doomsday prepper, if you're one of those types, yeah, I would keep some physical gold on hand. But if I have to choose between paper gold or gold on a TradFi brokerage, I'd much rather have tokenized DeFi gold. Cheaper, more efficient, easier to move around. You can earn yield on it. There's not a lot of traditional TradFi gold means of getting a yield for the average person. So another big reason why USDT is stocking up on gold is they want to be the leaders. They want to be the market leaders for gold, digitized gold. And I'd imagine they are going to be releasing some sort of yield-bearing product in the relatively near future. But lots of stuff going on when it comes to RWA. In fact, Cointelegraph saying here, Coinbase Ventures listing RWA perpetuals, and where is it? Yeah, well, RWA perpetual, essentially tokenization, and being able to speculate on tokenization of equities, of things like gold, etc., as one of their top most exciting sectors for 2026. A lot of this stuff, getting Crypto Paradise kind of ahead of the curve here. Maybe they've been watching. Been talking about RWAs, perp dexes, specialized exchanges, prop AMMs, prediction markets. We look at Polygon and talk about those quite a bit. So this is all, I agree with all of these. These are great sectors to be looking at. Composable perps markets, unsecured on-chain credit, unsecured versus secured. Unsecured is where you're lending against like future revenues or something along those lines, versus right now what we have a lot of on-chain credit and lending is, I'm going to put my Bitcoin up for collateral and I can, lend 50% against it or 60% against it. This would be more for businesses to get credit, a line of credit, rather than having to go sell equity in the company or do some sort of new token raise or whatever. If they are a revenue producing company, there are, in the traditional markets, you can get loans against future revenues. Bringing that on chain will add efficiencies like it will for all other financial rails, just like we're seeing with stable coins and everything else. On-chain privacy continuing to be one of the top trends. The hack here today is another great example of why privacy is going to be so important in the future. As we get more and more money coming on chain, security is going to continue to be more and more important for us. A lot of smart people out there saying that the only way to make that happen, or the best way to make that happen while still being able to keep DeFi, keep in the DeFi and not CeFi rails, is through privacy. In building that natively on the different layers. We've harped on that quite a bit. Won't go too much in there, but yeah, definitely a big fan of privacy. Robotics data via DePIN, huge one. Robotics in and of itself, there's a lot of good crypto robotics projects. We talked about that. I think those were my the 3 calls. Is the X402 robotics. There's one other one a month or so ago. I said, hey, these are the kind of the DGM plays I'd be looking into if you want to get into some real trench alpha. But yeah, robotics, and more importantly here, data via DePIN with robotics. Data is going to continue to be, it's one of the biggest markets in the world as is, but with AI coming on board, data is everything for AI. AI are just giant, LLMs. It's all aggregated data with smart engines behind it. So data going to continue to be more important. DePIN, DeSci, decentralized physical infrastructure networks, another very fascinating and emerging market there. I liked how they got very niche specific. They didn't just go with robotics or DePIN. Robotics data via DePIN. Proof of humanity. I don't know. I've not been a fan of proof of humanity so far. It's like WorldCoin. It's other big brother, globalist, WEF type projects that to me seem very, essentially spying on citizens. What do they call the Chinese network? Social credit score type stuff. I understand the desire behind it, or the drive behind proof of humanity. AI is getting better every day. What's the banana drops or banana something? It's Gemini's video and image creation software. It made a huge leap into about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's damn good. You can have it make passport photos. Pick a country and bang, here you get a photo. It looks like you took a picture of your passport, driver's licenses, things like that. So. And then the videos are also very, very good. We've all seen, deep fakes and stuff out there. It's only going to continue to get better, or worse, depending how you look at it. So I understand the proof of humanity stuff, wanting to be able to have a way to cut through and understand what's AI, what's not AI. But the projects I have seen so far are not the right solution. They are further, encroachment on privacy, further, just ways to centralize power, take it away from the individuals. The opposite of the core crypto ethos. So not one I would put at the top of the list. Understand from a money making perspective that it's definitely a technology that's going to continue to be in demand and of need, but probably a bit early on that. I think right now we're a little more just focused on the AI itself. As far as AI, where in AI, it's a huge broad category where they're looking. AI agents for on-chain development. A lot of the AI agents we've seen at this point are all focused around trading, and some of those have done very, very well. They're looking more on the on-chain development side. As we all know, a lot of coders very scared, concerned for their jobs in the future. Now the AI agents going for blockchain development. Gonna be interesting to see how all these turn out. I think there's a lot of opportunities here. I really love these. I like how they've gotten very specific within the niche instead of going with RWAs. RWA perpetual platforms, specialized exchanges for prop AMM. So very niche, very specific targets that they're looking for. That being said, there's a million projects out there, so I guarantee there's 5 dozen perpetual RWA perpetuals projects. But downtimes like this, slow times like this, the real builders are out there. They're still grinding. They're still building. This is the time to be in the trenches, as they say, looking for these kind of projects. Now, do I recommend you go out and try and find your favorite 5 or 10 in every single one of these areas? No. There's other areas, other sectors out there that are going to be popular as well. You don't need to stick with just these. But these are very, very good. I like all of these. But like with anything else we talk about, there's a million ways to make money in this industry. But you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything you want. Unless you're a full-time researcher, which I don't think any of you watching right now are. I am certainly not. Unless you're a full-time crypto researcher for an early stage, ventures team, or you're looking for super early launches to get become a part of. You're not gonna have time to look up and understand every single one of these at the level to where you're gonna be able to pick the winners within each of these niche sectors. So pick a couple, pick 2 that interest you the most. Go deep on them. Become the fucking GOAT on understanding robotics data via deep-in projects. Become the alpha yourself. Probably wouldn't take too long using AI to start understanding robotics data and deep-in and what type of projects there are out there, which teams have good histories, which teams don't have a clue what they're doing, which people are actually building product and shipping product, what people are raising on a vaporware deck, who's got the right backers behind them, who's got the best communities, the coolest ideas. I'd love to hear that. If you got anybody watching that's going to be looking into some of these, let us know. Let us know what you find. We're always happy to have community members come on the stream here, join us for some alpha, join us for some chats, some laughs, some ideas. But again, kind of getting off topic here. My advice, find, it doesn't have to be one of these, but find a sector that you're bullish on and go deep on it. Really understand what it's about. Really understand who are the key players involved. Really understand what are going to be the core metrics, the core demographics, or the core successful. What customer base? What's the product market fit? What are the financial constraints they're going to face? Become the GOAT in that field. And a lot of opportunity out there, guys. I know when markets are down, it's boring. We just want to see numbers go up. We want easy calls. But hey, it's not like if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. Check in here on some of the comments. Nonso, GM, happy Thanksgiving. 90s baby, Magic, or Magi, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Welcome to the stream. That's a new name I don't think I've seen here before. Hope you have joined the Crypto Paradise family, the community there on X and on Telegram. Check out the Surf DAO if you want to look at some private opportunities we got coming up here. Holding 0.1 Bitcoin went down during the dip. Wallets with 1,000 or more Bitcoin up. Smart money's buying, guys. The big boys are buying. Yes, we've talked over the last couple months where we've seen some, Bitcoin billionaires selling out, some really old OG people that bought back in the early days, and rightfully so, taking some profits. Personally, I would have looked at a little more fiduciarily wise way to do that. Cashing out some I can understand, but you can get loans against Bitcoin. There are, especially when you have billions of dollars worth, there are boutique financial solutions they will create specifically for you, where you don't have to lose the asset, you don't have to have a taxable event. You just hold the asset, not paying a shitload of taxes, not having the government come in and take half your hard-earned money or more, depending where you live. And you still get to enjoy the benefits of your gains. So I don't understand all of the selling there. Yeah, take a little off the top so you got some walking around money. Take 100 mil, have some walk around money. But the guys are dumping $9 billion in Bitcoin. That doesn't make sense to me. But to each their own. I don't got $9 billion worth of Bitcoin, so I don't have a lot of business talking too much about it. But I think those guys, those are few and far between. They're big enough. They did have some market impact. But it wasn't like there was millions of these whales out there selling, or thousands of these whales out there selling. A lot of the big guys, the institutions, make it. You know the game, freaks. Stay humble and stack sats. I love it. That is from TFTC21 on Telegram. Give him a like there. Shout out. Good post. Yes, I even talked a little bit about this the other day as well, but the Fusaka upgrade on Ethereum coming in just 7 days, a week from now. L2s are going to start burning ETH. Coinbase's base will burn ETH. Robinhood's L2 will burn ETH. OpenAI's World Chain will burn ETH. Sony's Sonium. Alibaba's Jove. UAE's ADI. Kraken's Inc. Lighter. Deutsche Bank. Arbitrum, etc. The list goes on. All will start burning ETH. Corporations will start burning ETH. Very, very bullish for ETH, for their entire ecosystem. I think there's some privacy stuff getting upgraded here. I have been very bearish on Ethereum the last couple years, for good reason, I think, in my opinion. They were doing a lot of dumb stuff on the foundation level. The network just wasn't usable when volumes would spike. Making a trade, making a transfer would cost hundreds of dollars. Just, slow. But I got to say, over the last year to 15 months, I really like what I've seen coming out of Ethereum. They made some major changes, got some woke people out of the foundation, got back to business, started releasing some very good updates, solved a lot of the issues around the speed and fees. And overall, the experience on Ethereum has been much more pleasant as of late. And they've reined in Vitalik. I love that we've showed his most recent video a couple times on here. Chad Vitalik out there, do what we want to see. Comes out, glasses on, 8 minutes, blasts out an awesome, on point speech, and fucks off. No dressing as furries and doing karaoke, weeboo karaoke stuff. So that we want to see more of that. I want to see more of these kind of updates. Bullish for ETH, bullish for the altcoin industry. So props to them. I've been a hater in the past, but I'm much more happy with what I'm seeing right now. Some other Solana news today. Franklin Templeton filed its Solana ETF prospectus with the SEC, setting fees at 0.19%, the lowest fees among all Solana spot ETFs, and waiving fees for the first $5 billion in AUM. ETF expected to go live today. That was yesterday. That was posted. I would imagine they're not going to be going live on Thanksgiving. So again, more bullish news. The blue chips continue to get traction in the traditional markets. When the first ETFs came out, there was a lot of talk around like, oh, well, it's only going into Bitcoin, and it can't, because it's, ETFs, it can't roll, down with the cycle we've seen where, it's Bitcoin into Ethereum into top alts and it trickles down like that and repeats throughout the cycle. Well, now we've got blue chip ETFs, Ethereum. There's Solana. I want to say Cardano's got one. A lot of the blue chips now. You got those opportunities regardless. And these are, as we've talked about, these are consistent weekly buyers. These aren't your average degens. These aren't even a lot of like retail individuals. These are 401ks. These are retirement funds. These are union pension funds and so forth. These are regular weekly and monthly buys that are holding for the long term. You have fund managers rebalancing portfolios, but these are not quick flippers. These are long-term holds. I would imagine more so with Bitcoin, but even these top alts here, the people that are willing to, TradFi funds and stuff that are willing to dabble in these, I can imagine we're going to see that a lot more holding over the long term and continue to see this shift out of this major volatility into just up and to the right. So if you're a DCAer, this is what you want to see. Markets kind of continuing to lose volatility, lose the risk, and climb steadily up and to the right. Most people on CT, most people that you're going to be talking to with crypto kind of falling into two camps right now. You got the 4-year cycle people, which none of us here at Crypto Paradise are. I think the cycle's over. Pack it in. We're done. And to be fair, the timing is very, very, very auspicious for the 4-year cycle. I definitely see valid points in some of their critiques of what's happening in the market right now. At the same time, I think their models are completely invalidated. The whole reasons for the 4-year cycle, it's been busted in multiple different ways. I really like more and more that we're reading and seeing about the ISM cycle, the liquidity cycle, the business cycle that was extended because of COVID. Loan repayment cycles went from 4 to 5 years. They were lengthened by a year. And thus the business cycle, the liquidity cycle that the ISM tracks has also been extended by a year, which is what's a lot of people are proposing, that the 4-year cycle was never based on the halving. It was always based on the business and the liquidity cycle. Halving just happened to be timed and mirror, fit within that. And now that's going to be extended to 5 years. I like a lot of what they're saying with that. It makes a lot of sense to me. But I mean, pretty much you got the two camps. You got the 4-year cycle camps, you get the extended cycle camps. We're both, on either side, I think there's a lot of merit for both. All the 4-year cycle people are basically saying the same thing. All the 5-year cycle people also basically saying the same. Everything I just mentioned. The ISM, the liquidity, lengthening of the liquidity cycle, blah, blah, blah. Kyle Chassis in our camp as well on the 5-year cycle, the extended cycle here, saying all the same things you hear us come on here day in and day out saying. Rate cuts are coming. QE is coming. Election year next year. So 2 major camps here, same major bullet points on either side. Who's going to be right? I don't know. You know where I'm leaning toward. You know where my money is. My money is with Kyle and the 5-year cycle people. I think we're going to be proven right here, and I think the time we're going to have to wait is quickly diminishing. We're going to see rate cut announcement in just a few days here, in about 10 days. And I'm sure we will get some more information on QE and QT shortly after that. So big stuff, still big bleeder. We're going to have a very nice 2026. Might be rough in the meantime. I have a little rough holidays, but I think we got some good stuff coming. Another bullish article here. Bitcoin saw the largest open interest drop this cycle. This was the crash we saw in October. The liquidity cascades, the massive liquidations. The liquidations that were 20 times larger than what everybody considers the crypto apocalypse with FTX. What happened last month was far worse from a numbers perspective, from a dollar amount. Tanked us about 36%. And people are still underestimating how powerful that was, how big of an event that was. Kind of went on with our lives and pretend like nothing happened, which is pretty wild to me. I still don't see anybody talking. When FTX happened, that's all anybody talked about. That's the only thing people were talking about for months. Granted, yes, a little bit different situation. Very high-profile celebrities involved. Very high-profile crypto founders involved. Government, the U.S. government was involved. There was, talks about, collusion in the Russia-Ukraine stuff, like all kinds of things. I understand it was a little more a little more reason to be all over in the news. But for hardcore crypto people, the people that I work with day in and day out, crypto Twitter is still pretty much crickets. When the liquidations were done, people forgot about it within a week. Crickets from the market. People wonder why we're crashing right now. 4-year cycle, people saying, oh, it's a 4-year cycle. Well, you think maybe it had something to do with the largest liquidation event in history? Maybe. I don't know. That would make a lot more sense to me. Maybe it just happened to time perfectly with when the 4-year cycle was supposed to end. Or maybe, like a lot of this stuff, when we look back, the billionaires, the whales, the market manipulators, whether they be governments, pseudo-government organizations, the market makers, the centralized exchanges, whoever you want to choose to blame this on, would this not have been the perfect time for them to mess around, to crash the markets, to make everyone think the 4-year cycle is over? Would that not make perfect sense? Anyways, regardless of why you think what happened, it did happen. I think there's still a lot of bodies that need to float to the surface. I think there's a lot of people, a lot of projects out there, a lot of big companies that are on the edge of insolvency. I think there's still more to this story. I think we're going to still see more repercussions from this, more consequences, companies going bankrupt. So I still think there's going to be some events that will shake up the market a little bit from this. But the positive side, the silver lining, the drop of open interest from 45 to 28 billion within a few days is a large signal of a leverage washout rather than the beginning of a bear market. So one more positive thing pointing towards the extended cycle rather than the start of a bear market. Now, a lot of people say we're in a bear market already. Well, it really depends how you look at it. From the traditional standpoint, if we had a definition of what we've considered a bear market with the 4-year cycle, is that the Bitcoin peaks and drops first and the alts fall after it. But when Bitcoin peaks and drops, it's essentially 18 months before we really see things start to pick up again. It's usually a little over a year before Bitcoin finds its bottom. So if you're saying we're in a bear market right now, you're saying starting in October, it's gonna be 18 months before we see some bullishness come back, Bitcoin price start to come up off the lows and grow again. Now, I see a lot of people out there saying we're in a bear market, but they expect to have a good Q2 next year. So are we only having 6-month bear markets now, 5-6-month bear markets instead of the 18? How does that align with the 4-year cycle? So again, I don't want to harp on the 4-year cycle, but a lot of stuff doesn't make sense there. Some merit in it, the timing. But anyways, this another indicator that we are not going into a bear market. We are not going into a full-on 18-month crypto winter, but rather this was a massive liquidation event. It was a leverage washout. It's going to take time to recover from. There's bodies that need to come to the surface. We're probably going to see some big people out there. So maybe some of these big market makers that come up insolvent. Big shakeup in the industry. Could shake up the Bitcoin price quite a bit. I'm not saying we're out of it or even that we've seen the worst of it yet. But no, I do not think this is the start of an 18-month crypto winter or a bear market for that matter. What else do we got here? Great reminder, as always. Why are we in this industry? Why do we need this industry? What is the ethos of crypto? Why did Bitcoin get invented? Well, as you can see here, the U.S. Treasury posted its $284.4 billion deficit in October, the worst opening month to any fiscal year in history. Not in recent history, not since the housing market collapse, not since the Great Depression, not since the recessions of the 80s. Any month in fiscal history, any fiscal year in history, exceeded the previous record of $284.1 billion, October 2020, during the historic pandemic response. What does this mean? 18% year-on-year spending jump, almost $89 billion, bringing the 6 months average up to almost $600 billion. Put in other terms, government expenditures averaged $22.5 billion per day in October of 2025. That's an insane amount of money. Regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, I mean, you have to look at that and understand that that's not sustainable, it's asinine, it's insane. where we are kicking the can down the road on the fiat system. It will not work forever. The longer we ignore it, the worse it's going to be when this collapses. Thank God for Bitcoin. Get your hands on hard assets if you can, people. That's the only way out of this. Fiat is not going to save us. Eventually, the government is not going to be able to extend this mess down the road, and it will get very messy when this all ends. So make sure you are taking care of yours and your own. Get yourself some hard assets. That's what's going to keep you to be able to retire. Holding dollars in your bank account, a saving account. I don't know if they still teach that in school. When I was a kid growing up, I said, "Oh, get a piggy bank, get a savings account, save your money." Hopefully, people aren't still giving kids the advice today to do that. If you're a parent, you're telling your kid to save money in a bank, God help you. Get your hands on assets. Do what you can to get your monthly income above your expenses. Start rat holing money so you can buy assets. It doesn't need to be a lot. DCA into stocks, DCA into crypto, into Bitcoin, into gold, land, real estate. Get your hands on hard assets, people. I'm not saying it's happening next year. I'm not saying it's happening in 5 years. I think what we just did with the Genius Act and stable coins, the U.S. government requiring all stablecoin, all new U.S. denominated stablecoins to be backed 100% by U.S. Treasuries. I think that's a huge lifeline for the United States and the U.S. dollar. I think that kicked the can down the road at least another 10 years. But at some point, this cannot continue. So, myself personally, I'm going to be continuing to work on building a portfolio of a variety of different hard assets, a variety of different income sources, and I hope you will do the same. I've not been perfect. I made a lot of mistakes in my life, wasted a lot of money, had a lot of fun, doing a lot of stupid stuff. Wish I would have started doing what I'm doing now 2 decades ago when I was in high school rather than a few years ago. I've been in a much different place, but no regrets. You live and you learn. I will be teaching my kids to do differently than their father did. Fortunately, very blessed to be in the position I am still today, but it didn't come by happenstance. Put a lot of hard work in to get here. Point being, it's never too late. If you're seeing this now, you want to learn, you want to get started. It was 2020, December 2020, when I really started getting into crypto. So it's been, just under 5 years. December this year will be my 5-year mark where I was legitimately involved in crypto. I mean, I was just an investor at first, but studied every waking hour. I was just obsessed, learning about things with crypto, watching YouTube videos, playing around. It was the early Q1 of 2021 was a lot of the DEX season, yield farming season. So you had Pancake Swap and Donut Swap and all the food swaps and stuff. There's a new DEX popping up every hour. Those were fun times. I don't know that they were very profitable times, but it was exciting nonetheless. But yeah, I mean, I was in 5 short years, I've come a long ways and changed a lot in my life. So it's not too late. This industry is still early. Whether you want to get into this industry or another industry, man, if you've got passion and you want to work hard, find something you genuinely enjoy doing and see where you are in a year from now. Don't compare day to day. Just try and get a little bit better. Look at yourself in a year from now. Look back and say, see where you were. 5 years from now, look back and see where you were. And don't compare yourself to others. It could be in a great spot. I think you're feeling pretty good about where you are. So not too late to start, never too late to start. There is so much opportunity out there just within this industry, let alone the world in general. I'm bullish on humanity. I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I'm bullish on all of you. I am bullish on the December rate cuts. Man, I'm just overall bullish and very thankful on this awesome Thanksgiving. Thank you to all of you who tuned in today for this solo cast. Thank you to all of you that left a comment. Thank you to all of you that are going to subscribe, like, and share this with your friends. Thank you to all of you that are going to talk about Crypto Paradise and the Surf DAO and the Frontier Fund. And the year we have had, and what a year it's been. There've been some ups and downs, but overall, I think we've done pretty dang good this year with Crypto Paradise, with the Surf DAO, with our awesome community, the giveaways we've done. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to everybody that makes this possible. Thank you to all of our friends and partners in the industry. Thank you most of all, of course, to the Surf DAO and to our amazing Crypto Paradise community. And with that, guys, happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you on the beach.